welcome to Why Am I Here? I'm your host Miyong Kuon. Today, our discussion will reveal some facts about the Sudanese conflicts and how it affects its people. Sudan is located in sub-Sahara of Northeast Africa. It has a desert in the north and a rainforest in the south. Yet this country is known for carrying on the longest civil war in the world. Sudan is the biggest country in Africa in square miles. As a result, it shares borders with 10 countries, Egypt and Libya in the north, Chad and Central Africa in the west, Uganda, Kenya, Republic of Congo in the south. And to the east, you will find Eritrea and Ethiopia. What happened when the strongest half of the country turns against the weakest part? I have brought together a number of people who have definite answer to these questions. And first of all, before we hear from them, I want to tell them to start from my right to left to tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is Bern Yuot. I'm a pastor here in Omaha. I pastor South Sudanese Seventh-day Adventist Church. I also work for Goodwill Industries as a case manager. I serve clients that are welfare recipients.
My name is Lam Thichuong, actually with the Sudanese community in Nebraska. I'm the chairman of SPLM and SPLM as a representative in this state, and also I'm the chairman of the board of directors for South Sudan Community Association. And my job also, I'm working with Omaha Public Schools as a student community liaisons.
My name is Dr. David Chan. I'm a former ambassador in the Sudan and director of peace, and currently I'm a professor of political science here at UNO, in the Department of Political Science. My area of specialty is in international relations and international law and political economy and government and politics in Africa and the Middle East.
Dr. Thichuong, I'm going to start with you. Would you please tell us in detail what is problems in South Sudan?
Thank you very much. I would like to say that the war that we have in the Sudan has been misunderstood by the international community. First of all, it has been defined as a civil war. I think from the point of view of many Southerners, including myself, it is not a civil war. It is a colonial war, Arab colonial war in the south. And this has got to do with the fact that during the British colonial administration in Sudan, there were two countries. At the end of World War II, they unilaterally united the north and the south. Different people with different cultures, different language, different history, different administration, and different perspective about the country. So I think the causes of the war are multiple. You have the issue of lack of power sharing in the country, and that goes back to the day when decolonization was about to take place in the country. You have the lack of resources or wealth sharing in the country, and also you have got the lack of equal development. There's an unequal development problems, lack of access. I think religion used to be there, but it was very subtle, although the North had an intention of making Sudan become an Islamic state. But because of the situation at the time, it was not as serious as it is now. So by 1978-79, when the clerics in Iran took over the government from the Shah, and then Sudan became a good ally of Iran, and then they decided that Sudan should become an Islamic state. So by 1974, even before then, they introduced the Sharia law, which is the Islamic law in the country, Islamic constitution, to use it against the non-Muslim people in the north, as in the south as well as in the north. So those are the problems. I think it goes back to more than 200 years, because the relationship between north and south has not been very healthy for many generations.
As a person who worked in Sudan and you work also with the rebels, what is the Sharia law mean, and why Southern are so bitter against it?
As an expert in Arab affairs, the Middle Eastern affairs, when you talk about the Sharia, you are talking about the Islamic law. It means that according to Islam, the Quran, there is no separation between the state and religion. Islam means to surrender. So it requires that the state and the law must surrender to the will of God. Henceforth, all the rules, all the regulations that has to be done has to come from the Quran. there is nothing called separation between state and religion as you would find in many democratic countries. Everything is governed under the Sharia, under the will of Allah or God.
Sudan has been in the civil war for more than 35 years. Tell us in detail, what do the people of South Sudan want from the North or from the Arabs?
I think this is a question even the Northerners has been asking for the last 35 years or so. But I think for Southerners, when the war started in 1955, 6 months before independence, the idea was they wanted an independent South, the right of self-determination. So that war lasted for 17 years. In 1972, it was settled, but it was not settled to give the South what it wanted. It was done in a very rushed way, not improperly. So 10 years later, after a lull of guns for a period of a decade, then the war started again. After this time, between 1983 up to now, we have lost more than 2.7 million people as a result of war and war-related disasters. And we have more than 5.7 million people internally displaced because of latest discovery of wealth in the south, particularly oil in Upper Nile region in the Nuer country. That has caused many Nuer people, majority of them are here now in North America and in this state, are the victim of that war. And that's why when I was in the bush also, fight with the rebel, I was one of the people who started the negotiation of EGAT as early as 1994. And I've been traveling all over the world. And we signed peace in 1997. We thought 4 years later there would be a referendum. But when it was not implemented, I had to leave the post because I don't want it. If a government continues to kill my people, I'd rather go and suffer with my people. So I walked and went to Germany, became a senior research scholar at the Max Planck Institute for Comparative Law and Public Law, and then I came to the United States. Actually, I was the first, among the first refugees who have come to this country. So I grew up in the United States, in New England. That's where I got my education, and later on I went to United Kingdom and Europe.
Mr. Lam, you are the chairman for SPLA chapter here. Will you tell us in details and tell us how SPLA chapters and the SPLA back in our country related, and what do you do for?
Well, actually, the movement representative here in the diaspora, what we do are the representatives in the diaspora is we are basically as an advocates for the people or for the suffering of the people. Our job is to articulate the problems to the people who do not know it, especially our friend Americans and the other peoples, and also to communicate the issues that are taking place now in the countries. Basically what we do, we communicate directly with the headquarters, which are in basically Nairobi or any other countries of the bordering the countries itself, bordering Sudan itself, whom there are headquarters of SPLA. So especially we communicate with them and they tell us what is taking place, especially the peace talk taking place now. So our relationship is we communicate through the phones and also through emails with the leaderships actually. But our work here at the chapters is to represent the movement in which to articulate or to give an awareness for the problem in Sudan, also do advocacy to agencies, talk with the legislatures, such as now we had what's so-called Sudan Peace Acts. This is happened because of the support from the Americans and also the Sudanese Americans themselves who are in the diaspora.
That's great. The peace is underway in Nairobi, Kenya right now, and it has been there for almost 2 years. I want to know from you how optimistic you are. Do you think the peace is going to be signed?
I'm not very optimistic about it, but somehow I am, because as it had been there for 19 months, nobody knows how long it will take. But with the help of the international community, such as the United States, Norway, Britain, Germany, and the other countries that are supporting, plus African countries which have put much pressure to help in bringing the peace in Africa, plus the willing of the two warring parties, plus others whom has involved also to make sure the peace must be in Sudan. We have been there in the peace talk for 19 months now, but we have resolved some issue such as the security arrangement has been signed, and also the wealth sharings, which is to share the wealth between the government and the southern governments, which is SPLM, SPLA. So then they have signed the wealth sharing. Now they are on the issue of the 3 areas which are part of the North, but because they have come out to fight with the people of South Sudan, they must be granted with the right of self-determination, or how they can govern themselves. So those are the three areas issues, and also the power sharing. They are not yet resolved. But to me, with the pressure of the international community and the other countries around the regions, I believe the peace will happen and it will be signed soon.
Can I interject into that?
Yeah, you can win.
Yeah, okay. True, the peace talks has been going on for the last 19 months. There are a lot of problems with the peace. We're all for peace. I have been involved in the peace negotiations in 1994, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, so on. In 1997, we signed the Khartoum Peace Agreement, known as the Khartoum Peace Agreement, the Sudan Peace Agreement. The very thing now that they're discussing in Nairobi, they are in that peace agreement. And the very government that signed that agreement is the one now negotiating in Nairobi. The 1997 peace is in the constitution of the country under Article 137 and 138. Less than 2 years, the government failed to implement it. And that's why it failed to go forward. Even if peace is signed, many people have been left out. It is like a bilateral talks between the SPLA, which is only a movement, is not the representative of the South. It doesn't have the mandate to represent the South, because there are other parties, and other parties have been excluded. That means that even if peace is signed, those in the South, the overwhelmingly majority who have been misled out, will react negatively, as well as those in the North also. So I think if peace were to be a good peace, I think there are certain prerequisites that the international community, especially the sponsors, AGAD, the United States, UK, Italy, and Norway, we have worked with these countries before. They should have first looked for how to unite the South. The South is now divided. They should convene a South-South dialogue whereby Southerners should come together and discuss what divides them and to articulate exactly what they want. Now, in the South, there are 2 schools of thought. One school, which is now negotiating, is a unionist school. It does not want to let the Southerners know that it is a unionist school. The others, majority, even within that school of unionist school, there are those majority who are saying, we don't want to be part of the Sudan, we want to be a different country. So until those issues resolve, the peace, there are problems. A second problem is that even if peace is signed, there is no commitment from the United States, United Kingdom, Italy, and Norway, as you would find in Afghanistan or in Iraq. They are working to appease the government of the day with the hope that there will be goodwill of cooperation, because with the current international problem, terrorism, and Sudan, the government of the day has been involved very much in this terrorist thing. I think a way of trying to penetrate it and see what can be done. But you must understand international relations. Every country is looking for its own vital strategic national security interests. So in this case, Egypt is playing a very major role because Egypt wants to control the Nile water, and other factors are involved. So peace, we all want peace. But the way in which it is being done is totally wrong, because it's going to lead us to more war, South-South war as well as North-South war.
All right, briefly, in 30 seconds, would you tell us about what the chapter will do in any event that the peace is signed in Kenya?
Well, chapter is part, especially all Sudanese or Sudanese American are part of the things that are taking place. They will be involved in anything that will take place, especially during the interim period or the interims, during the 6 months when they are arranging all the arrangement for the interim periods. So they are part of the...
All right, we are out of time right now. And what happened when one part of the country is at war? The whole country is suffered. Don't go away. We will be right back.
In 300 years, there were 3 Christian kingdoms within Sudan. The church grew and remained strong for centuries, in spite of Arab invasions, which brought Islamic domination to the north of Sudan. After centuries of resisting Islam's southerly expansion, the Christians still occupy and control the African territories of the South and Central Nuba Mountains, much to the Islamic government's indignation. In recent decades, the church has experienced tremendous revivals and today is one of the fastest growing churches in the world, with over 2 million evangelical Christians standing firm within this.
Pastor Bern, according to the media, and the Sudanese government has been under scrutiny for the persecution of Christians people, and as we have seen here from our commercials, would you tell us in your position as a pastor what is really happening in Sudan?
Christians are persecuted in Sudan, and I would put it under 2 categories. In the north, churches are built, and the government refused to show it to the entire community by destroying the churches, but it does persecute the people. It denies them opportunities, job opportunities, educational opportunities. It also put them on a category that leveled them as third-class citizens within their own country. Then when you come to the south, churches are burned down, people are bombed on Sabbath days or Sundays when they're in churches. And that is meant to eradicate the population, to Islamize them by force. And that's what we see, Southerners, we see that as colonialism, as I heard earlier on the show. It's actually a war of colonialism. It's meant for Africans who are Christians and enemies in the South to be eradicated. Enemies meaning people who worship African traditions, African traditional gods. And so, as a pastor, we all know that in the Sudan, Christians are being targeted because of their beliefs.
Yeah. Just to interject a point, I think I could not agree more with the pastor. I think when it comes to the question of persecution, yes, the church is being persecuted, Christians are being persecuted. Even when it comes to the question of employment, if you are educated and non-Muslim, sometimes they may cause you to or want you to convert to Islam, but that's not the case. So anyway, when it comes to the question of churches in both north and south, they burn them. I've lived in Khartoum when we had the Adelaide feast in 1997. We had a problem because I was in charge for human rights and peace as a diplomat also. I had a lot of problem with the president, and I told him, how could you destroy churches and then you leave the mosque? And here you said there is freedom of worship, freedom of religion. So that was a very bitter issue. That's why one of the reasons I told them, I don't want whatever you want me to do. I can't do it unless you respect the dignity of the person to worship as they please, and unless you delineate the constitution from religion, that we cannot work. And that's one of the reasons why Southerners have come overwhelmingly to say they wanted the right of self-determination, meaning independence.
You said that you once were in Khartoum and you negotiated peace with the Khartoum government, and now there's peace going on in Nairobi, Kenya. You are not part of it. Would you tell me, if it happened that you are there and you are part of it, what would you say they are not saying there?
What I would say is that the peace that they're doing in Nairobi now is actually a copycat of Khartoum Peace Agreement. All the articles, the security arrangement, the wealth sharing arrangement, everything we have done. And in fact, the man who affected it now, that makes it work, is Dr. Riek Machar, the former leader of the SPDF, who has merged, who is still the leader, but he has merged with the SPLA for the unity of the South. He has not given up. So without Riek Machar participation, all this agreement that have already been achieved will not have been done, because when we look at the Khartoum Peace Agreement, nothing. It's just a copycat of what took place in 1997.
Let me put a little bit, like Professor said, actually the Khartoum Peace Agreement, one of the problems that destroyed the Khartoum Peace Agreement was one of the issues where the people themselves who sign it are not committed actually to it also. The only person who are very much committed was Dr. Riek Machar himself, Plus the rest also, most of the people were divided by the government itself. But nobody, as you say, nobody can believe the Khartoum peace agreement, the Khartoum government, because they have destroyed a lot of peace. Even the Khartoum peace agreement is a legitimate peace. But the problem was they divided the people themselves who have signed the peace. That was the reason why it hasn't been implemented. Plus the fact also there was no much involvement of the international community. So they say that it's not a peace because there's no international community when they were asked during this Machakos peace.
Again, I'll make this interjection.
Yes.
I'll make this interjection. What guarantee do you have that this peace was not going to be destroyed by the government? It's the same government, no change.
All right, before I have you come in.
There's no commitment from the West to send troops into
I
Sudan.
cannot say that this peace will not be destroyed.
It has not yet been signed.
But the
it will be destroyed.
One thing that makes it seem like more legitimate is the unity of the people of South Sudan. Because the leader of SPDF has merged and also united with SPLA. The majority are now united, actually.
Okay. Let me hear something from Pastor. As a pastor, I have realized that when the peace is going on in Nairobi, Kenya, they have called in different religions, not only Christians, even Muslims too. They came together and hear their point of views. What are you trying to put together, or what are your thoughts about what is going on there?
From the church perspective, we encourage our people to unite against the common enemy that we have in the Sudan. Unite together for peace. And the problem, as my friend said here, is that this government cannot be trusted. It signs a lot of agreements and it destroys them. We would ask this government, the United States and Britain and other countries that are united to help us to find ways to implement it, or else it will never get to where we will say we achieve real peace. We had 1972 agreement in Addis Ababa. We had the Khartoum agreement, and now we are headed down to another agreement. If there is no international community in it with a strong force to implement it, it will be destroyed again. So we ask our people to unite and also to ask for help. We will not do it on our own. We fought for many years. We had lost many people. We died. What we need now is help from outside. And the country that will help us is the United States of America.
A viable future of South Sudan does not only require negotiation to stop fighting and getting reshuffled in the current government. It really does require all the Southerners to unite together and firmly as one unit. Is it something that the SPLA is doing now, as you presented?
Yes, the SPLA is now working very hard to unite. That's why it started with the Nairobi Declaration in 2000. The SPDF and the SPLA merge and then they unite their force. Now they are one movement. Plus the fact now SPLA is working on South-South dialects. It has delegation from the Khartoum because most of the forces which are against SPLA now are part of the government. So there's no any other force which is outside. Most of them are inside with the government, but because they are part of the source, even when the security arrangement was signed, the SPLA said the people who are inside, especially the SSDF and the other forces which are inside, whom are Southerners, they will be part of SPLA. They will chair the government together as part of. They are different part, but they will be part of the source. So then they will be included in the security arrangement and the other arrangement that will be made after the peace is signed. So.
Can I make an interjection?
Yeah,
I think unity, nobody's against unity of the South. And that's one of the reasons why the SPDF or the former SSIF merged with the SPLA. And he mentioned a very interesting declaration that was on January 7, 2000. I think that declaration has been misused, has been abused so much by the old SPLA because they still have the old mentality, old communist mentality, and they tend to look at everybody that comes to merge with them as a returnee, and that you got to know your place. So if you don't belong to the SPLA previously, in their mind, they think that you don't belong to the SPLA. All of us built the SPLA. No, nobody. That has made any contribution. So unity of the South must come, but the leadership must change, and the leadership must be democratic, not autocratic. So you know the two parties, the SPLA and the government, they are both autocratic movements.
What I would like to add is that within the South there is also tribalism. And as a church, we encourage our people to come together and bypass ethnic violence and stop thinking about tribes, bringing up tribalism. As Dr. Thichuong said earlier, we see that the tribes are fighting against each other. We cannot defeat this common enemy if we continue to fight between tribes. We need to work together to bring our people together to defeat the enemy.
All right, we are out of time for now, and I would like to say thank you to all of you for coming here. I wish time is our friend and give us some more seconds, but it's not going to work. I would just want to say thank you to all of you for coming to the show.